Most people don't think very hard about how they serve images. They drop a file in an image tag, see the image show up, and consider the job done. But images are one of the easiest way to slow down your site, consume more bandwidth, and with that, increase your hosting bill. The problem is not just the large file size of the image, it's the whole pipeline. Because many apps, they serve one single large file to many different devices, often with a format that is not appropriated for that device. And the images don't scale to the different sizes of screens. And not to even mention that before optimization, there may be the risk of caching if you're serving an image with a file name that doesn't change at all, right? So you may cache that image on the device. So today we're gonna take a look at how to fix those, and hint, that's very simple. There are several reasons of why you want to do that. One being a good experience to your users, but what drove my attention to this was this tweet here, where a website had a hosting bill of more than $46,000. And this one here is the website, is a clone of Gmail into Gmail, where it is the emails released by Jeffrey Epstein made public. I'm not here to criticize this application or to say that images is the only reason for that large bill, but I can say that we could definitely improve on how images are being served. And just to take a look at here, there's this section here of JPhotos. And all of these photos here, so I'm going to click in one, and we're going to inspect this photo, and you can see that this photo is taking 1.6 megabytes, and it is a PNG. 1.6 is very large, and this is a pattern throughout here. Any other images that you click on here, you're going to see that they are PNGs, and they are 1.7 megabytes, and so on and so forth. So you can imagine this taking a lot of bandwidth. So let's go back and take a look at an application here. And what the application that I have here is an Svelte application. The principles that I'm going to explain, they apply to any applications. But if you're using Svelte and Svelte Kit like I am using here, you made two good decisions. Number one, you decided to use Svelte Kits and Svelte. That's a great one. Second, Svelte provides a plugin for Vite that makes all of this very simple to use. So we're going to take a look at those. But first, let's take a look at how this code is being written here. I have an image, and I'm pointing to this dog-dunk PNG, and this is in a static folder here. Now, static, as the name implies, is for contents that don't change. Now, the problem with this here is that, and let's take a look at this. There you go, this is my image here. And the problem with this here is that if this image were to change, but not the file name, that file could have been cached in browsers throughout the world. So I don't have much control over this. That's what we need to have a way to have a dynamic name in case of file changes. And this is very simple to solve. If you're using Vite in the Vite pipeline, Vite build pipeline, all you need to do is import this image through the Vite pipeline. So instead of doing just this here, I move the file to my assets folder here, and I'm gonna import from it. So I can say that dog dunk, not dog dunk comes from. There you go. That's it. And instead of doing this here, I can just do dog dunk. Okay. In my dev server, I'm probably not gonna see any difference in here. It's pointing to just lib assets dog dunk. But if I stop my dev server and I run build, and then I preview this, I'm gonna come here and look at this, inspect, and now you see that there is a hash in here. This hash is what's going to be used to, well, that's what's going to change every single time the image changes. And by just providing this, you are invalidating cache for people that have consumed this image before. So they are not using the same image name all the time. So that's one thing to solve with images. That's very simple, but that solves one specific problem. It doesn't solve the problem of large images, and we're going to see how to solve that right now. So let's go back here, and I'm going to show you in my package.json here. I have this package imported here. It's Svelte.js enhanced image. That's it. You import this. You come to the vid config file, and then you import enhanced images and add to the plugins for vid. And in case of SvelteKit, it has to go before SvelteKit. You're set up to using this. Okay. Now you come back to your page. So let's go back to the page here. And instead of just using image, I'm going to use enhanced image here. That's it. And I need to tell this import here that image is enhanced. That's it. Okay. Just by doing that and going back to my dev, I'm going to reload this and I need to restart my dev server. 1 second. Okay. Reloading. Now I'm going to inspect this again. And now you see that instead of just rendering the image, what I'm rendering is a picture. And this picture has different sources. And the file that I'm displaying has only 214 kilobytes. And I forgot to surface this before. So let me just revert this 1 second here and reload. Now let's go back this and remove this. I just want to show one thing quickly. Okay, there you go. Inspect. This is now, okay, when I'm not using the enhanced image, I'm rendering just one image. And if I hover it, you can see that it's a 3.2 megabytes PNG file. Let's go back to using enhanced and enhance here. And now showing this one more time. Now it's an image within a picture. And what I'm displaying here is this 214 kilobytes of an image here with the same size. Okay, so what is happening behind the scenes here? Svelte is, so even during dev time, but more specifically during build time, is going to generate different formats of the same image: AVIF, WebP, and JPEGs. Okay, those are more compressed formats of this image. AVIF is very good to compress and display a very quality image for us to render here. Now, the browser then is going to look at the available formats, those three here, and based on that, it's going to request the one file that it's capable of displaying. And that's all there is to this solution here. Browsers are smart enough to look at the sources available and request the one that is most efficient and they support. That's it. Okay, that's good. That doesn't solve yet the problem of responsiveness, but just solves that problem of serving larger images. And I'm going to show you one thing here. So going back to this image that we saw before here, this one here, that has, let's look at it again, 1.6 megabytes. So if I'm coming back here and I'm going to, instead of importing the dunk, I'm going to import this file here, which I downloaded, okay? And let's just rename this here quickly, and let's put this right there, 5 as it was, and put it in here. Going back to my local dev, it's showing the image. If I inspect this image now, it has 38 kilobytes, 38 from 1.6 megabytes. So that's a lot, and it probably would help reducing the cost of bandwidth for that application. Okay, and as you can see, it's a very simple solution. Now let's work on fixing the responsiveness of this image, because not all devices need a larger image like this. If you're looking at in a mobile device, you might need a smaller version of this same image. So let's go back to my dunk here. As a matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this, because we don't need to import it this way. We can also come here straight and paste it like this, okay? And you can see we're displaying the dunk again. Now, one thing that you can do is you can define the different widths of this image. So I can do a 2080 pixels wide, 768 pixels wide, and another one 400 pixels wide. What this is going to do is, let me just build one more time here, okay? And we can see in this SvelteKit output here, that's not fit, the app, immutable assets. Oh, not preview, sorry. I need to build. Okay, there you go. Output, client, app, immutable, assets. There you go. You're going to have different versions of this same image. Let's look at the JPEG that I can preview here. So this is a smaller one. Then we have another one here, bigger, and one even bigger here, okay? This is telling vid that when this is going to be built, I need 3 different sizes for this image because I'm considering different screen sizes in here. We need one extra piece of information here. So let me, instead of typing, paste some code in here, and I'm pasting the sizes attribute. So what sizes is doing here is not telling the browser which images to download. It's telling the browser how much space we're expecting it to be rendering this image in terms of width. Okay, expecting it to be, but not precisely, because for instance here, at a min width, we're not gonna render a 1280 pixels image, but because I'm telling that the max width of this container here is 1280, okay, this is what we're telling here, and starting at 1024, that's the expectation that the browser could have. So the browser is going to use the sizes information here and the available images that we have here and decide which one to request. And there's one more piece of information. We're going to talk about this in a second. But that's what we're trying to say here. So at a min width, we're telling the browser that it can render this at about 768 pixels. That's because the max width that I'm telling the browser to render this container here. That's what this is doing. Again, not telling which file to request, but telling the space the image might take in the screen. Now, by doing all of this here, the browser can decide, but it also uses the pixel density of the screen to decide which image to request. So I'm gonna switch this to my mobile view here, and let's put this to the side and make this a little bit bigger. Fit to window, that's better. Okay, I'm telling that this is here an iPhone 12 Pro, okay? And an iPhone has a density of 3, okay, which means even though it has a width of screen of 390. Now, if I look at the network tab here, we're gonna see at the bottom here, okay, we're gonna see if I click on this image here at the bottom that the image that it requested has a 1280 pixels wide, not the 401 or the 390. That's what I said, the 401 here, that I said that it should take, because 400 is closest to 390. And why that is? Well, that's because of the pixel density of an iPhone, okay? So if I come here and I say 309 times 3, the pixel density, that's the width of the pixels, the CSS pixels that it needs in order to render the same image at this width size here, 390. So because 1280 is the closest number to this that we have available, the browser decided to do that. Now, I'm going to switch this to a responsive image here, and I'm going to set this 390 as well, okay? And reload this. We're going to see that when I click on the image that was requested, the image requested was this 400 one. That's because we're doing the same calculation here, 390 times 1, that's the density that is required, okay? And requested this image of 400 pixels. Now, I said that in here, that with one minimum width of 400 pixels, we should request this image, or it should take that amount of space. That's what I should say, actually. So if I change to 400 here, we're gonna see that the browser now requested a larger image because this can grow, right? And because it is growing, the browser already requested the image appropriated for this size of screen. And one more example just to be complete, let's close this here and reload this page, and we're gonna see that because we have a full page size here, or a larger page size now, right? We're requesting the larger image size. But if I inspect this element here, we're gonna see that throughout all of this, we have a picture and we have a source of files available to the browser. And when we said that we had different sizes here, and I think I didn't mention this, we're telling the browser not only the formats that are available, but also the sizes that they are available. So we can see the 1280 here, the 768, and the 400 width here for each format type that is available. And then the browser can make the better decision, or the best decision, to which file to request and display to that consumer. And that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about in terms of how to generate smaller image files with different formats and the appropriated responsive image size for the device that's consuming your web page here. Thanks. See you next time.